This episode of the Offroad Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Colby Valve, and 4 Patriots.
Offroad Podcast, episode 444, Cemented Tuning.
Tonight, Aaron keeps dying, Coy is a loser, and Ben does fab work.
Welcome to the Offroad Podcast, a podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Coy, and my name is Ben, and welcome to the show. And tonight, we are joined by Cole from Cemented Tuning.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks for coming.
Glad you're here. You got all your Overland attire on. You got the shirt with the circle and an X and letters in it.
All the fun things.
Ben, you did some fab work, but I thought all you did was drill a couple holes.
No, I had to cut stuff too.
Oh, okay. He's doing some serious fab.
I had to pull out the angle grinder, therefore it's become fab work.
Okay, all right.
Look, my last name isn't Webster, but I feel like if we looked up fabrication in the dictionary, it would mean something about like conjoining things together, building.
Well, I did weld it together. I did help weld it together when it was initially built. I just had to adjust it.
I'm curious how helping someone weld together.
He carried the beers to him.
I was gonna say, did he hold your hand and guide the rod? Or
no, I did a few beads on it, but mine are garbage compared to his. So
hey.
I was
like Ghost, but like a welder version of the story.
Yes, exactly. Pete was right
behind you. He was behind you.
You're going.
Oh man,
when
Cole,
you're really
come on, get some jabs in there.
Kind of like when you're trying to teach a girl how to hit the baseball, kind of thing, like that. Reach around,
yeah,
exactly,
just like that. Yeah, good tight squeeze. Josh says you did some beads of JB Weld.
That's so much more insulting than anything we could have said.
Ouch.
I'm probably a worse welder than Ben is the sad part. I'm not a good welder at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine aren't beautiful, but I mean, they're just kind of
tell us about it. All I saw on the internet was some blue plates of steel on the underside of your truck.
So, the bars that protect your cats, on the Forerunner, so it goes from the cross member to the frame, kind of in a diagonal direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the previous owner had rounded bolts and stripped or broke bolts and then welded them on. So I had to cut the welds, had to drill out bolts, and then I had to riv nut the bolts or where the nuts were because it's on the underside in the cross member. And then my angle grinder died. So I had to go get a new one. It gave me, it was 10 years old. It was a $15 Harbor Freight one. It gave me the holy blue smoke. So it went to a new place. Ooh. So I went and replaced it with a new Ryobi one. That was
much
like
better quality.
Yeah, much better quality.
Really upgraded there, didn't
you? Compared to the Harbor Freight one, yes. It was a lot more comfortable. And it's got the
first time I've ever heard someone upgrading to Ryobi. And I'm not, Aaron's the electrician here. He's the cordless snob. Like,
yeah.
You know, I was actually looking at like if I was gonna go cordless, I would have ended up with the Milwaukee one because I have Milwaukee batteries now.
Wait, it's a corded Ryobi?
It's the corded Ryobi, yeah.
Oh, all right, okay.
Is it green or is it a blue one?
It's a green one.
Oh, never mind.
It's just the battery life for how much you get with all the grinding that I was going to be doing. It just didn't seem like it'd be worth it. I'd be stopping to switch out batteries too much. And so I was like, screw it. I'll just get a corded one, hang it on the wall. Because every time I'm using it, it's in the shop. It's not on the trail. If I need an angle grinder on the trail, I've really got some problems. So I just went ahead and got a corded one, saved myself like $150.
Oh yeah, good quality cordless ones are not inexpensive. So
They're like $250, $300 without a battery.
oh yes. Yeah, you
So,
got to wait for the sales. You got to get it at Christmas time or at Father's Day. That's the two big sales for the DeWalt and Milwaukee.
yeah. And then I got the skid plate up there after everything was done, and it was a little long.
Whoa.
So apparently there's some of the cross members, I'm not sure if it's like a year's thing, if like mine's an early 06 or something. Pete said he's had that happen one other time where the cross member was different. So mine was short by, I think it's like 3 inches. So I just cut it and re-drilled, grinded out with an angle grinder, new slots, and got it all mounted up. But hey, I've got two full skid plates. I started on my gas tank skid, and my third bolt decided that it was going to strip out. And it was like the skid plate was actually dented to where it's covering part of the bolt. I couldn't get like a long socket on there. So
skid plate is pre-dented.
my factory gas tank skid that's all dented already. It's like dented and folded over the nuts a little bit. So I tried to bang it out with a hammer, and then the other one rounded, and I was like, okay, I'm stepping away. I'm walking away from you right now, and I'm gonna order some an extractor socket to get that last one off. And those were the 3 hard ones I was worried about, and I got 2 of them off. So
have you tried just going 1 millimeter smaller and beating it on with a hammer?
Yes. Or go SAE instead of metric.
I could do that.
And the other option is to just cut can you get to the nut with your new angle grinder?
I could.
Ryobi.
Just cut that nut off.
But
then he has to tap it.
Then I'd have to tap it.
Is it a bolt or a nut?
It's a bolt in the frame.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm gonna try.
I was thinking it was a nut. I thought it was a nut that you had to get off.
It's like $24 for the extractor set on Amazon.
Yeah, don't buy that.
That's the 10-minute job that turns into like a 6-hour job.
That's usually how it goes. I mean, the skid plates,
give it a lot of PB Blaster.
A 3-year job.
Spray it every day, Ben, with PB
Blaster.
Blaster.
Been spraying it every day. I sprayed it for 3 days before I even got to that.
Do you have an air chisel?
I do have an air chisel.
Bro, put that thing on there. Just every which angle.
My worry is how corroded the other 2 were. I'm just worried that it's not gonna turn and gonna snap.
It's not gonna turn. I'm saying just PB Blaster, hit it with that air chisel, not trying to like cut the head off, just like straight on it and stuff. Beat on, I'm guessing it's like a 10 or 14 mil.
It's a 12 mil.
12 mil. So get out your 11, beat that thing on there, and start cranking on it.
That's not a terrible idea.
Was your fuel tank full when you put the skid on, or attempting to put the skid on?
No, I haven't even put the skid plate on. I'm still trying to take the factory one off.
I remember when I did mine, part of the instructions were to make sure that you were under a quarter tank or so because of the expansion and contraction of the tank.
I should be.
Okay. You may just have a lot of tension on there too if it's full.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'm gonna pull it off actually. So I'm gonna pull it out of the shop today or tomorrow, and I'm gonna do the sliding door on the minivan that I promised my wife I'd fix a month ago. And then I'll pull the 4Runner back in once the minivan's 100%, because I need to do an oil change on it too.
Hey, Dakota.
Oh, but I totally skipped out on almost knocking myself out after last week's show.
Yeah.
Because I kind of forgot because I almost knocked myself out. Let me find the picture.
We got all the comments in here. Everyone's saying to use Croil over PB Blaster, and I agree with that. It's hard to find Croil. It's not everywhere. It's like a Dukes of Hazzard orange aerosol can. It does seem to work better, but PB is.
I've been
find that
using
anywhere.
the
A lot of
WD-40
times you can find
trade here.
PB blaster at your place of employment, and it costs much less. Whereas coil much harder to find. So that's why I personally, this American is a huge fan of PB blaster.
This is gonna sound weird, but I like the smell of PB blaster. I don't remember what Croyle smells like, but PB's got like this nice scent to it. I don't know. It's not gross smelling.
After last week's show, I decided I was going to break the bead and swap my old rim or old tire over to my new spare. And I was going to use my high lift jack. And I put it on the back hitch or underneath the back hitch. I was using the high lift. And then I caught it digging into my rear window. So I grabbed the high lift and I pulled it back. I'm like, okay, I'm going to lower it down. And it went down one notch and wouldn't go back down anymore. So while yanking on it and trying to do that, it slipped. All the stuff that's fallen over on the ground was not on the ground. And I went flying across the shop and hit my head on the garage door. Landed on my rear end. So word to the wise, let someone know when you're doing something sketchy. So when they hear the garage door slam, they actually know that it wasn't you closing the garage door. My wife thought I just slammed the garage door.
If you guys sign up right now, you can be in Ben's high lift class at the next rally.
My word to the wise is just take it to a tire shop. Pay the $20 at a tire shop.
I know. That's what I'm doing now. Yeah, I was so mad. I went inside. My wife's like, "Did you slam the shop door?" I'm like, "No, that was me hitting the shop door." Minor concussion. Nice fun week.
If you just get like a chunk of 6x4, even 4x4, and just lay your tire in front of your truck, and then lay that up onto the tire right next to the bead, and then just drive up the board, works like almost every time. Yeah.
I've done like 3 or 4 tires where I broke the bead. I don't know if it's the dirty life. The bead on the back is just that good or what, but
it's that Patagonia rubber. It just sticks.
Yeah, apparently.
So sticky.
Yeah.
So
Rick,
I'm just gonna pay the $20.
Rick, he also fell on a shampoo bottle once. It was really awkward. Josh in the comments says that Ben needs a Nissan, and I've been thinking about this. And Josh, I don't think I want Ben to join Team Nissan. I think I'm okay with him staying on the Toyota team.
You were talking about, maybe it was time to get something else with the Nissan. So maybe you sell Ben your Nissan. You get whatever you move on to, and keep it in the family.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Speaking of your Nissan, you have any fun with that?
I was just gonna say I'm glad, Ben, that you didn't have to go to the hospital again. So
I'm glad to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I haven't talked to you guys about this, but my MAF came in. I replaced it, took the truck for a drive, and almost didn't make it home from a quarter mile away. So there's something really wrong with something on my truck. Don't know what's going on. It's not throwing any
afterwards.
I did. I cleared the code. It on the drive home, the quarter mile drive home, like it was acting like there was a fuel cut or a spark cut at like 2,500 RPM. Is really crazy. So I need to check fuel pressure. Maybe I've got a bad regulator. It could be the fuel
Did it
pump.
Throw any more codes after you put it in?
No. I've got 0 codes right now.
Huh. Could also
it's
be like
doing a lot of
chewed wires, possibly. I mean, you never know, too.
That is a possibility. I guess I gotta look around to see if any critters got into my truck. That would be a bummer.
Yeah.
I wonder if you pulled the battery to and let the ECU clear itself. if that might help with it too, if it's like going off of what was learned while the math was bad.
I suppose I could. Another thought is that I got some bad grounding, so I need to check different things to see if I've lost a ground wire somewhere. There it is in the comments, loose ground. So I got to get out there and check those things. I got busy and didn't do it. I was super busy Saturday planning for a event that Coy totally flaked on. It was his turn finally. It's finally his turn. So last 2 years, Coy has come to my meat eaters potluck that we have at church, and he just totally flaked on me. We had the best meatballs I've had in my entire life this year. The best.
Wait till you try my meatballs.
Yeah.
Anyways, I would have totally been there, but a friend of mine was like, "Hey, your whole family should come over and watch the Supercross race." And I was making a giant pot of no bean venison chili for your event, and my wife's like, "I really want to go." I was like, "Well,
ouch!
I guess it's chili burgers now."
So the food that you were even bringing to my event, you turn Laverne.
I took it.
Man,
what am I gonna do? Drive it up to you and then come back?
What a kick in the balls!
No, it was a chicken move of me. I totally admit it. But after,
were you at least fair and announced to the other event? They're like, "Oh, I was going to take this somewhere else, but now it's here."
Yeah.
Oh, I doubt it.
No, no. I didn't.
No, he showed up like a hero. I'm sure.
I did. No, I really did want to go to that, but my wife was like, "Hey, I'd like to hang out." And since I just did the snow camping trip, it was hard for me to be like, "I always hang out with you guys," and they are my family, so I'm supposed to like enjoy it and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's literally my only cool thing I've done is like watch the Supercross race.
The only cool thing you've done was ditch Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm not joking though. They were the best meatballs I've ever had. There's some really good.
Well, what kind were they? Because it's supposed to be exotic meat.
Banana cake. I had this banana cake with a cream cheese frosting that was super good also. And I brought 2 pieces home, and I shared 1 piece with my daughter yesterday, and then I got home from work today. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to eat that other piece of banana cake. And my kids ate it out of the fridge, and I'm like, oh, stupid kids. Well, at least I've got some meatballs in the fridge I'm going to eat. And I find the tin foil on the dining room table. I'm like, there's still some meatballs, right, kids? You didn't eat them all, did you? Thomas ate them all. So yeah, I didn't get that either.
What kind of meatballs were they though?
Well, so I don't know what kind they were. It didn't say, but they were like meat. They were way bigger than a normal meatball, and I think they had cheese and garlic in them, so that was good. And then there was another meatball on a stick that was in some sort of, I don't want to call it barbecue sauce, but it was a sweet
and sour.
It may have been sweet and sour sauce. And then it also had a little smoky on the same toothpick, and that meatball was wrapped in bacon. So it's good. It's good stuff.
It all sounds. I don't know why meatballs are so much better on a stick. It shouldn't make any difference, but it makes them taste far better. Like have a stick versus snow. If I go fork versus stick, I'm like, yeah, this one's a lot better. They're like same meatball. There's no difference.
Aaron, next year invite me, and then I'll bail last minute, and Coy won't look as bad.
Okay, I'll make sure to invite you. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, someone brought. So it's all supposed to be meat themed. Someone brought a mincemeat pie that was venison mincemeat pie. I didn't try it. I wasn't going to do it. So that's not for me. Yeah, that's it. That's all I did. Truck issues and ate meat. I had the meat sweats that night too. I had a rough night of sleep. I ate so much meat. Yeah.
Say that like it's a bad thing.
I didn't get much sleep because I was, Whew. We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
So we've been plugging the whole 605 spotter, and we got a call. I'm gonna play it here for you guys.
Hello, we've been trying to reach you about your I screwed it up. I got to call back. Hello, we've been trying to reach you about your I screwed it up. I got to call back.
I'll play the long version at the end of the show, but he did call back, and it's what you think it is.
Yeah, that was that was hilarious. What was funny is I got an email saying that we got a voicemail, and I read the email and it says, I got to call back. It was even funnier reading it in an email form. So, yeah, thanks for calling our hotline. And if you'd like to call and leave us a voicemail, phone number is 605 spotter, SPOTTER.
Like, literally, we will play your message as long as it's family-ish friendly.
And since you played the Patriot Patch one, we've got a new Patriot Patch coming. It says, you fill my heart to full capacity. And it's some AR and AK mags, and some ammo lined up in a heart. It's lovely. Every Valentine seems to be AR and AK together themed. So yeah.
Well, I mean, there are two snobs on each side of that, right?
Certainly, but it's a time to come together and love each other.
Well, I think it's a men and women's things. Like men use AKs, women use ARs, so it's like that's how I always.
Wow!
Wow!
Shots fired.
Yeah. Which one do you own, Coy?
Neither.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm binary. I'm non-binary, whatever it is.
Non-binary. Yeah.
I technically do have an AR lower or something around here. I have a piece of an AR somewhere.
Piece.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
All right, guys, let's jump into our first news article here. This one's brought by The Drive. It's titled Cybertruck Owners Get Coming Soon Message When Trying to Lock Their Differentials. Which is awkward, I assume. Coming soon to a theater near you. So when an over-the-air update gives your car extra battery range or even more power, can also, but it's a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing. I'd argue that Tesla Cybertruck's locking differential, that's air quotes, coming soon, would count as a bad thing. The screen grab you guys just saw shows the message that the Cybertruck displayed when you were trying to lock the front or rear differential. Owner Voyage ATX posted a video to YouTube where his extremely high dollar electric pickup truck struggles in the mud, losing out to a Subaru Crosstrek off-road. That's hard to come back from, man. Losing to a Subaru Crosstrek, like,
yeah,
I don't know what you do. That's rough. I'm not here to make fun of them, and I'm not here to make fun of the truck, but we have to talk about this dystopian reality where a vehicle's promised features are far from guaranteed. Of course, manufacturers have leaned on over-the-air updates for a while now, but it's poor procedure to roll out a model with missing functionalities and a promise that they'll be added in time. A locking differential is one of the most fundamental off-road features. In short, ensures that both wheels on an axle or drive unit are spinning at the same time. They help immensely with traction in slippery conditions, and most hardcore off-roaders, hardcore four-wheel drives offer them front and back. The dual motor Cybertrucks will supposedly be that way, while the tri-motor models only need one at the front since both rears are independently powered anyways. So let's just hope that their lockers don't end up behind a subscription paywall.
Boy, that'd make some people upset.
That seems to be the trend nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
for
that
$1,000 you can have a locker in the front.
I think that some people have I think some car makers have tried it in America. They're doing it around the world, but they tried it in America and there was a big ruckus, and I think they've backed off. But in other countries,
apparently there are some consumer protection laws that keep you, when you purchase a car with the stuff, they can't blackmail you for it.
That's
but
good.
That's just one politician and a good lobbyist away from being changed at any time. So
that's true.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, my guess is that just maybe the trucks are out, but they haven't dialed in exactly how they want these lockers to work and everything. They're still doing software programming for it, and so they just haven't. Rather than holding the trucks up, they push the trucks out. So I don't know. I didn't know the trucks were out. Honestly, I didn't know they were in consumers' hands.
Not a ton of them, but fair amount of them. I mean, we just did the episode or the news the other day about the first one to get wrecked. So I mean, they're out there.
That could have been while someone was testing it. I didn't even think that it was a personal rig. I thought it was while it was being tested, kind of like those off-road videos that people were showing, or the guy stuck in the snow. I assumed all those were just Tesla doing testing with them.
No,
those are early buyers.
Yeah, they're fulfilling orders.
Gotcha. All right. Our guest knows more than I do.
Yeah.
He's hired.
There was a video of them, I think like 5 or 6 of them coming down a trail, and somebody had to back up and literally watch like 5 or 6 of them go by. So like there's already groups formed of people going out.
Wow, yeah.
Trying to get stuck together, I guess.
Huh.
Would you have, this is just, maybe you don't even have to answer this, but you come up to a trail and there's 5 of them. Do you just play dumb and force 5 Cybertrucks to back up just to see what happens? Because if they're not testing, like, they're probably not hardcore off-roaders. Those things have to have some serious blind spots. Like, could be interesting.
I'm sure it's a moral conscience thing of like, do I really want to strand, 5 or 6 new people out here, or just, take a small L?
Their trucks are bulletproof, man. Like, they'll be fine.
Until they get hit by a Toyota Corolla.
And total it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. Well, our next story here from Z107.7 is an off-road traffic collision at King of the Hammers leaves 1 man dead. The collision happened last Friday. Man named Austin Angstead, a 33-year-old resident of Belfair, Washington, was involved in an off-road collision at 1:45 p.m. on Friday near Hammertown. It's unknown at this time if anyone else was injured in the collision. California Highway Patrol is investigating the incident and has yet to provide any further information. But I did some research because the guy's local and I actually have met him before. From what I heard, it was a freak accident. He was on a quad and an Ultra 4 rig and him collided. But let's use this as a learning moment to remember to be aware of your surroundings when you're out riding around, especially in open areas where anybody can come from any directions, be it Playa, be it the dunes, be it Hammertown, where there's a lot of people doing lots of things, lots of people drinking. Try to be aware of your surroundings and what's going along, because either someone could just go in front of you blindly or you end up in front of someone else. And unfortunately, we lost a very active member in our community here in the Pacific Northwest. Austin was a well-known wheeler and fabricator up here. So we send our condolences out to his family.
Do you know, like, what did this happen in the day or at night? Like, was it the actual Ultra 4 race was happening?
1:45 in the afternoon. So I think it was just out in the afternoon. I don't think the races had started on Friday.
Oh, man. Yeah,
So I think it was kind of as everybody was setting up and people are checking out. Like he was at here's a picture. He was out at Hammers. That I think that was from the night before. He had posted up on Facebook. Out there on one of the trails. I think that's Chocolate Thunder.
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I have never been to Ultra 4, but I work with and around a couple guys that are side-by-side guys that religiously go every year, and the stories they come back with every year is like it's kind of the Wild West out there, and every year they're like they're going to crack down on it next year. I mean, there's 40 people bar fight type situations, and just I mean, it sounds fun, but it sounds pretty crazy, a little over the top at times. But I wonder if this is going to be the tipping point where we kind of get into some of this.
Unfortunately, this is not the first death at King of the Hammers of an incident like this. Last year, I believe it was a head-on collision between a motorcycle and a truck of some sort.
Yeah, but no one ever cares if they're on a motorcycle for some reason. You're like, oh, well, they're on a motorcycle, so they're basically.
I mean, it's quad.
It's true.
Not all that different.
It's like Sand Lake too. There's always incidents down there, and you know, as much as they try and implement having show of force and police and stuff like that. I mean, people do bizarre things, and there's always somebody innocent that gets caught up in it.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever go to Sand Lake. It sounds like chaos there.
It can be for sure,
especially
but
on
even
holiday
Sand
weekends.
Lake has like a 10 o'clock curfew, whereas like I mean, you can just run the actual racetrack all night, and it's just like make sure you're towed out of the rocks by the time the race starts. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Unfortunate.
Isn't there a video of a guy blowing his hands off with fireworks like from last year? That
wouldn't surprise me.
It's a pretty grody video, but he's like holding a mortar and he sets it off, and he's so drunk. His hand, I mean, it looks like a daisy, just petals, and it's horrible looking. And he's so drunk, like he's like, wow, yeah, like he doesn't even realize he just destroyed his hand.
Wow.
Yeah,
if you guys find that video, forward it to me. I want to see it.
I'll find it. Remind me after the show. I'll find it.
Okay. All right.
Well, on that note, let's just remember to be aware, and drinking and driving don't mix. Not saying that any of these guys were. From what it sounds like, it was just a freak accident, but yeah.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
All right, like we said earlier, we're joined by Cole from Cemented Tuning, and that is your preferred term to go by, is Cole?
Correct.
Okay.
Some people know me as Nicholas. I mean, but yeah, Cole's generally what I go by.
That's okay. Perfect. All right, Cole, we're going to go through the Fast 5 facts and some other questions just so our listeners kind of get you to know you a little bit. So we're going to burn through these real quick. New or old vehicle?
That's a tough one. I'm a fan of all vehicles, even Nissans.
He's taking the easy road out on this question.
No, I appreciate. I like the new vehicles. I like the the comforts and the drivability, things like that. But then, I mean, when you see a nice old vehicle go by, I'm just like, oh wow, like it's I guess a little bit of envy and everything else,
Summer or winter? Hold on. We had a politician on the show last week, and he gave a better answer than that.
Man,
he was a lot less wishy-washy than that answer. I got to tell you.
I mean, I love new vehicles, but then I respect old vehicles. How about that?
All right. We'll accept that.
Okay.
Summer or winter camping?
Definitely summer. I'm a fair weather fan.
Rock, sand, snow, or mud?
Sand is fun. I like sand.
Can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
Favorite vehicle brand? Just picking one.
Well, Toyota. Let's go.
Yeah, it's I mean, why would you pick anything else?
I'm
Favorite tire?
gonna get a lot of flack for this. I like my KO2s. I get it. I can
Why?
see the comment section just start blowing up right now, but you know, it's
I bet KO2 is the top answer by. It's got to be 80% of people answer that question. KO2.
yeah. I know a lot of people love the Falcons. I love, a lot of people love other tires in the Northwest. I mean, even Baja Boss and other stuff. I mean, for my setup, it works for me, and it does what I need it to do. So
Just like Toyota, they're a good, reliable brand. That's a good, reliable tire. It's gonna do the job every time. Yeah.
One of the best all arounders.
Yep.
And do you have any recommendation to someone new to off roading?
New to off-roading is find a group that will kind of take you in and show you the ropes. I mean, we're all at one point in time new to off-roading. Nobody is born an off-roader and knows every situation and everything else. Find a good group of people to go out with that are going to help you and build you up. And stay off of the forums and online because there's a lot of hate on there.
That is true. I was really expecting you to be like, you first thing you want to do is get your vehicle tuned, really get it running good.
I'm a big, promotionals of like, yeah, get it tuned because, why wait? But,
Exactly.
I feel like, there's a lot of good support out there and a lot of good people in the community. It's just finding the right one that works with you, that, meshes with you. I mean, that's not going to leave your meat themed party and take your chili somewhere else.
Hey.
So, Cole, how did you get started in off-roading?
I bought my Tacoma back in early 2017. It was my second. Well, actually, I take that back. Third Tacoma. I had two-wheel drive versions before, which is, Tacoma has probably been my dream truck since about 1998 when they came out with the extra cab TRD off-road package. That white on black Tacoma was kind of, in essence, a dream truck of mine. And finally was able to purchase my first four-wheel drive one in 2017 and been kind of, doing stuff, exploring. I love getting out and hiking, doing waterfalls, any kind of scenic hike, and just exploring what Oregon and Washington has to offer.
What was the first vehicle you took off road?
We used to, back in, obviously not me driving, but when I was growing up, we had a Suzuki Samurai
Yes.
with no back on it. It had like wood rails on the side of where the rear seats were, locking hubs. I mean, that thing went everywhere. Me and my dad would take that, off-roading and hunting and all kinds of stuff, and great beach vehicle, great just getting around vehicle.
The original side by side.
Pretty much.
Yep.
What would be your favorite vehicle to hit the trail in?
My Toyota Tacoma, for sure.
So, what's your most embarrassing moment on the trail?
There's probably been a few, I'm sure. One time that sticks out in particular is we went snow wheeling up in Mount Hood, and it was pretty well groomed or whatnot, give or take. And of course, me just getting bored and kind of veering off a little bit and veering back, and I get stuck in like a few, maybe half a foot of snow, and had to get yanked out by my good buddy Ro. And I was probably the only one that probably got stuck that night, and it got a little sketchy towards the end, but other than that, the truck was fine. But it was that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go off the trail by like a foot or two. And then, oh yeah, now I'm spinning. So that would probably be the most embarrassing moment. And of course you got it on video too.
Excellent.
Wound.
Yeah. Do you have a biggest win on the trail?
Probably not. I mean, I love to go off road and check stuff out. Biggest win was probably digging myself out of spring snow. I'm sure we've all kind of been in that super slushy, buried to the frame, you know, frames sitting here and the tires are sitting down here at full droop because it's just stuck, and having to
Yep.
dig myself out because we're out by myself, and it was me and my wife, and yeah, it was not fun. But getting out of that was a learning experience, and learning that okay, we maybe need a few more things, and it's probably better to go out in a group of 2 at least.
Definitely
Where is
helps.
your favorite place to wheel?
I love Eastern Oregon. I love Central Oregon. I love, kind of just getting out and seeing different places. The favorite place that I've probably been to, and they're both in the same area, would be probably Leslie Gulch, which isn't a big off-road, it is, somewhat, but it's not challenging in any way. Would be Leslie Gulch and probably the Alvord Desert. I love Eastern Oregon there.
Leslie Gulch is beautiful.
Yeah.
My
The whole
wife
drive down there, I'm like stuck to the windshield, like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I took my wife to Alvord like 3 times in 1 year just because random trips and stuff, and we all stopped there, and she like refuses to go there now.
That hot spring is pretty good on the bottom there. We went out there, I think, in January 1 year, and the lake was a little wet, but not. We didn't go too deep as far as the lake goes. Just went out there, took some pictures, and got back off. And but yeah, we had a beautiful January, kind of similar to what we had the weather, I think, on like Sunday. Where it was like 60 degrees and sunny, and man, it was a great experience out of the Alvord, and really kind of life changing because you got the snow up in the Steens there, so the whole drive out was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Are there any places you want to go that you haven't been to?
I'm sure there's quite a few. I think I want to do either like the Wobder or the Oregon Backroad Discovery Route would be kind of fun. I know a couple of guys did that on the way to the Expo last year down in Redmond, and I kind of missed out. We went down a little bit early to set up camp and stuff, and maybe better planning on that this year. Maybe check that out as well too.
That's a good idea. We're planning on hitting that expo this year for the first time, so maybe we can get an extra day in early and do some of that. That's a great idea.
A lot of people will camp outside of the expo, and then kind of drive in every day essentially. But the expo has been a very good experience. Even Overland Rally, we've had a bunch of good experiences going up to Sugarloaf Peak or whatever, the lookout that's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's always a fun drive up there too. Done that a couple of times, and yeah, the expo was fun, and I look forward to it this year again as well, and maybe even check out the Overland Rally. I've had a couple years off with COVID and everything else and scheduling, but I always enjoyed the Northwest Overland Rally. We always had a good time.
I've got a Facebook user in the comments, and it's not telling us who you are because you're posting in our Facebook group, and for some reason it doesn't transfer your name over. But this person says you can come camp at my place. So I'm going to guess that maybe this is my buddy Josh, who's in Prineville, so not too far from Redmond.
Oh,
there it is.
There it is.
It's Josh. Yeah, right on, Josh. I was thinking about you. The Overland Expo is not a cheap one. It's one of the more expensive ones out there. So
correct.
Maybe I will come set up my Gazelle tent in your backyard.
And they do have different levels lately too. So there's like a premium camping section, which I never got to see this year, but they were fenced off in a different grass section, exclusive.
Their pinkies are up when they're drinking their IPAs.
I really want to know what the premium is. Like, it's still the same field everybody else is in.
It's got a fence, so you're in a you're kind of restricted. But I heard there's maybe they give you some open drinks every night, but then you got vendors that were doing drinks. I think Lexus and Honda were doing some parties after
Wow.
hours.
They
I
have
say
to be.
I say we go, but no, unless we're gonna get comped premium camping, we find another section because I'm
We could rowdy it up. We could do our own party in the premium section, or we could be like, listen, we're going to get the cheapest section and we're going to make it premium. I don't know. Maybe they've got nicer bathrooms. I don't know.
We'll let them taste
It's
that.
good when you have a bunch of friends together. We actually
Yes.
bring down a whole bunch of RC cars, and we'll do a
excellent
RC car parade through all the tents. So we'll and they've got rock lights, they've got light bars and stuff, and so we'll drive around at night. I got a little Bluetooth speaker that fits under the bed rack of my RC, and we'll just play music and drive around, and people are like, "Oh, what's going on there?" And that was kind of a big highlight of Expo 2 is doing the nightly RC parade.
What kind of
fun.
RC car do you have?
I have a Traxxas, the TRX4. I also have a TRX6,
Oh, fancy.
the hauler, and it's about 95% complete on doing a rollback feature on it. So
cool.
right now it's the actuators are working, but the motor to push it down isn't working. So I'm in the middle of trying to get that taken care of.
Are you going to put the winch up top so you can drag them up on the bed like full tow truck status?
I had thought about it. I think I even left the extra wire in there to do it, but it's not on there now. But it's got the bed extenders on the side, and just kind of doing a little bit of things. I've been sitting on that kit for a while, and I swear I took like 4 months off of working on it because of the amount of wiring that had to be done. And I'm like, I just don't get these steps. But it's all buttoned up except for the fact that the motor to pull the bed in and out isn't working, but it tilts up and down, which is kind of fun.
I've got
That's
a couple different of the RC crawlers stuff too.
Yeah.
I think
the TRX4 stuff is amazing. I got the bundle that has the tracks as well, and we've taken it out in the snow.
That's the one
and
I
the
have.
tracks are so much fun.
They are. I actually got a Snowcat now, but I haven't really used it yet. Oh, we're going to try and have Team Associated on here pretty soon.
Yeah, it'd be cool if, again, everybody that's there wants to, join in on the RC parade. It seems like, and of course, nothing's there. We need to get Traxxas out to Expo and just sell a bunch of TRX4s because I think people would.
I bet they would.
They would buy it up for sure.
Yeah, I bet any RC manufacturer showed up with 100 of those things, they'd sell every single one of them.
I really think that Associated should come out. They own Element is their brand.
Oh, I have an Element Tacoma.
I was gonna say they make a bunch of Tacomas and Forerunners, and like people that'd be the right market for that.
Wow.
I cannot confirm or deny, but we may have left Expo a couple years ago to run down to an RC shop in Bend to pick up a RC for somebody else that had some FOMO, and then come back.
All right. Well, let's talk about OTT. So, cemented tuning is what you're calling yourself. So, what does OTT stand for? And
so, off the top, cemented tuning is my brand.
Okay.
I am a local representative in the Northwest for Overland Taylor Tuning. I'm basically a contractor, and I do mobile flashes for them. OTT or Overland Taylor Torque Tune. So Overland Torque Tune is another reference for it as well too. It's a set of calibrations developed for the Toyota platformer vehicle. And that's I'm sure we're gonna get people like, hey, can you tune my Jeep? Hey, can you tune my Nissan? Unfortunately, at this time, we're focused on Toyota and Lexus off-road vehicles.
Oh, interesting that you just said off-road, because I was going to ask later on, because you'd mentioned that your first two Toyotas were rear-wheel drive, and that made me think, there's another crowd out there of Toyota owners that maybe they like to go fast, or they're pre-runner guys, or they're street
There is.
guys?
We're also limited on years that we can do. Some of the people that have a lot of that pre-runner stuff generally fall before 2005, which
Okay.
until we get further software developments, we don't have anything currently. But there is potential for some future projects, but mainly our vehicles supported are 2005 and newer. And within like the Tacoma crowd, we have some for early second gen, like 4-cylinder motors. But all the V6 stuff from 05 to 23 is all covered. Tundras, we can do 07 to 21 Tundras. Even I believe we have some files for the earlier 05, 06 V8s as well. Same thing along the lines with the 4th gen 4Runner. We can do V8 and V6, 05 and up. Currently, the files for the 2010 to 2019 4Runners are on hold, but everything 2020 and newer up to 2024 are available for the V6 platform on that 4Runner. But we also venture into Sequoias, GX. We have tunes for the 470 and the 460, again, 05 and up. And a bunch of other FJ Cruisers. Obviously, Coy got his tuned about maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. How's that going for you, Coy?
I'm loving it, and I didn't put this in here because I wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay.
I've never noticed you advertise a gas mileage increase with the tune. Has anybody noticed that they've gotten any better?
Gas mileage is a kind of a off the wall thing. We don't like to advertise it because, again, you could drive the walls off of your truck there and not get really good gas mileage because you're like, hey, this thing actually romps now. This thing has throttle response now. But the guarantee isn't there, but generally most users do see a couple of mile per gallon increase, 1 to 2, sometimes more. I've had some trucks that went from like 11 or 10 up to like 20 or 21. I mean,
oh boy.
And there's a lot of, again, along with that, there's a lot of factors to mile per gallon. Being in a 4-season state in the Northwest here, some people will sit there and warm up their trucks in the driveway or, remote start something. So, there's generally, things where you can take a hit and you're like, hey, it's not really helping, but, it depends on the time of year. I've also had, we get a lot of winter fuel. Winter fuel has obviously an effect on mile per gallon as well too, which doesn't really get discussed all that much, but things along those lines can, bring it down or keep it level. But the big thing about tuning is, let's say the truck performs better and, you break even. You may be getting a win on that side and still at the same mile per gallon. But again, if you're respectful of the skinny pedal is what I like to call it, in most cases do see a slight increase.
I just wanted to ask because obviously with any tune, there's going to be, at least for me, there's a certain placebo effect where you're like, yeah, I got this tuned. It's so much faster now. Yeah. But as I went over east and stuff, and I like massive difference in my shifting. That's the part that blows my mind the most. And it maybe the power increase as well, but like when you're going down I-5 or whatever, I mean, everybody's doing 70, 75. And on 35s in my FJ Cruiser brick of an aerodynamic, like I'm just sucking down the fuel and it hunts between overdrive and drive constantly. I got that tune and it immediately all but stopped hunting. I mean, it'll bump back and forth, but where you'd think it should, instead of just before I'd just be going down a flat section of highway and it'd drop down, drop up, drop down. And then we went over east and I kind of drove out of my normal route, but I was like, I feel like I got a little better gas mileage. And so I've been working the same spot for like 3 months and it's mostly freeway and I'm going way too fast. Like I'm doing 75 most of it. So it's not in its optimal gas mileage area or zone. And so I really, the last 2 weeks I've like watched, and it's not a lot, but I'm getting like where my mark on my fuel gauge, where I always get fuel, I'm like 15, 20 miles farther on my odometer. And like the first time I was like, maybe it was just cause. And the second time I'm like, no, like I'm getting, I mean, I don't know what that works out. It's probably like 1 mile to the gallon more, but I was for sure not expecting an increase. And anytime you make more power, you kind of expect maybe a slight decrease. Like that's kind of
what's wild for me. I supercharged my 2017 Tacoma V6 with the Magnuson supercharger almost a year ago now. Probably, I think it was during the winter when I installed it. And I drive down to Medford regularly to do tuning down there. And so, I'm constantly on I-5, and I know the limits of my truck. I mean, there's, going down there about once a month, I'll hit Roseburg and I'm pretty much dead in the water. If I've driven around the city before then, it's like I will be rolling in there with the light on, that Roseburg is pretty much a, must stop location. The day after I supercharged it, I drove it down there, which is kind of ballsy to do, to take your truck 4.5 hours away on a fresh supercharger. But I hit Roseburg, and on the digital readout on the truck, which is I don't know if anybody's been around a third gen, but they're about half the value of what it's actually displayed. It said 120 miles to zero, which is about 50 or 60 real world, freeway traffic kind of deal. But I had more than a little over a quarter tank with, a truck that makes over 400 horsepower at the crank, and which was, incredible to have that much increase on, a mod that essentially would be sucking more fuel than, conserving it, I guess. But it, it's amazing to see like what, how you can change things and still get a benefit out of it.
And I honestly know if I do under 65, if I get on the freeway and I really do 60 to 65, I see a massive increase in fuel mileage.
Oh yeah.
Like 4 miles better, like way better. So
yeah. It's the nature of Toyota's trucks. I think a lot of them really want to be at the 55 to 65 range. I remember before the supercharger and 33s on the coast, I would be doing like 20, 21 miles to the gallon. And, for something that weighs as much as my truck does, to have all that, I was like, wow, this is crazy. If I keep the speed within a reasonable, thing, anything above 70, and it just starts going back the other way. But, definitely driving along a coast where it's simple speeds, I would get decent mile per gallon out of the truck.
Well, I'm really curious, and it might be a while before I can actually do this, but at some point I'll take a road trip and I'll actually go the speed limit, because I'll be following somebody with a trailer or something. And I'm curious how much the tune will make a difference in fuel mileage at at legal speeds. And I'm
correct.
The feeling it's going to be even, it's just going to multiply that effect. But
yeah.
And yeah, like and that's the other thing. I got that tune literally right before we went on our snow trip. Like I left from you tuning me and like, I guess maybe we should talk about how like easy and how much time it takes at a certain point. Like,
for the most part, most trucks generally take about 15 to 20 minutes. Some trucks take a little bit longer. We do have other options as far as, supporting mods. We can scale intakes on several platforms to correct the fueling error they produce. We do not support deleted vehicles. This is another point I want to bring up as well, too. So if you have any modifications to the factory emissions on there or non-carb certified headers, we are not able to tune them. That's a policy that we follow strictly. We are.
I'm out.
Well, your vehicle has to be running as well. That's another thing.
Ouch. Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I've got O2 sensors. That doesn't count. They're sniffing. They're sniffing at the air.
You're sniffing at the air, but no, we are. As of I believe a month or two ago, we are SEMA CE certified on our third gen Tacoma tune. We are the only third gen Tacoma tuner that has that certification, and we are carb pending, 50 state legal after some further testing. But we are very close to being carb certified in 50 states, which is a huge step for the tuning game and for the third gen Tacomas. So,
especially considering how undertuned Toyotas are to begin with.
Yeah, and various platforms, see more than others, but for the most part, the overall benefit that they have generally outweighs the negativity. My biggest for people that are like, oh, what are the pros and cons? And I'm like, well, the biggest con is why did I wait so long? That's the number one response I get from a lot of people is, and I get it. Some people want to wait till their vehicle's out of warranty. Some people, we've done trucks that have 3 miles on them, 11 miles on them. I mean, right off the lot. So
to be totally honest, I've seen these tunes before, but I guess I come from an era where it's like, oh, you get the Viper Venom plug-in and it adds 33 horsepower to your Silver, and we all know it didn't do anything.
Correct. There's a lot of misinformation
within all that way. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I just assumed it didn't do anything, and it wouldn't be worth it. And like my mind is totally blown. Like it's obvious immediately that it does a lot. So,
oh yeah, I tell people you feel the difference within the first 10 feet, and you don't stop smiling until you get home. I had a guy that I again gave that safe statement to, and he pulled out of the parking lot this weekend when I was up in Seattle, and I could kind of hear him get on a little bit, kind of speed away, and I just kind of smiled and was talking to somebody else, but I noticed him leave, and then I get a phone call, and I recognize the area code as the guy leaving, and he calls me back. He's all, "You lied to me, man." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I felt it within the first foot," and I'm like, "All right, then you're happy." But yeah, the tuning game has come a long ways. The big foundation of why a lot of us are brought together, especially under the OTT brand, was off of everybody with a third gen Tacoma complaining about how horrible the truck drove, and the lack of throttle response, the horrible shifting, and kind of a underpowered feeling in a sense. And that's where a lot of us came through. John, the owner, and Justin, both really, really good tuners, have brought forth amazing tunes that have really changed the industry. And their commitment to keep pushing forward to get stuff certified has just shown, what they're all about and what they want to do.
So Coy was telling me that you've got different levels of tunes. Is that something where you can switch between those on the fly or anything like that? Or how does that work?
It's not on the fly. It's generally, we have within the tunes, there are custom shift points for certain vehicles and other things. So the main adjustability, I guess you could say, would be the throttle responses. We have different levels of throttle response that we can install generally in the moment. Certain vehicles like the third gen Tacoma with the ECT button, we can kind of map into throttle settings. So one normal, one on ECT. Same thing with the Tundras with like a tow haul button. We can kind of, in certain situations, we can map 2 different throttle settings on that.
I didn't think about this. You just mentioned the ECT button. I actually own a Toyota.
Okay.
And it has an ECT button. So maybe I'll talk to you after the show. You can get a tune going for my 99 Toyota Avalon.
There you go. Pre-05.
It's my grandma car. I got it when she passed away, and it's a great commuter. It's cushy. It's like a big old Cadillac.
They were built well back then.
Yeah,
they were definitely built well.
So you mentioned throttle control and all that. So is this I can keep my throttle controller, or do I have to throw away my throttle controller after?
We generally tell people to, move on from your throttle controller. It's something that's not necessarily needed. I would say that if you do get with a tuner who's in your local area, we have, I think, over 50 of us nationwide, maybe even up to 60. If it's something that you meet up with somebody, I recommend at least their recommendation or trying a couple throttles. The overall flash process generally takes a few minutes once all the updates of software and everything are done before that. So sometimes if it's something where you're in a big event or something like that, you get your tune done. I always tell people, hey, I'll hang out for a few minutes, go drive it and see. And we also, as a whole, we don't charge anything for future updates. So if you a week, a month, a year down the road, even if you moved a few states away, we don't charge for any future updates as far as within normal throttle settings or gear changes, things like that. If that adjustability is available.
We've got a couple comments here.
I see some.
Two different people are asking about if you have a manual transmission. You want to address that real quick?
Sure. And depending on the vehicle, if it's a 3rd gen Tacoma or a 2nd gen Tacoma, there are a couple different options on that as well too. On the 3rd gen Tacoma, the manual tune is phenomenal. I've had a couple of customers that are very good off-roading, that to go out there and do stuff. Their biggest test, and I would basically go out and dump the clutch on a curb essentially just to see how it would crawl over obstacles, because that's a big thing, especially with the throttle response the way it is factory. There's a lot of I'm sure, I don't know if Coy's is like this, but you basically have to put the pedal about halfway to the floor just to get it to move. So having that throttle response helps, and then having the amount of torque that we usually provide on the low end, it's very good for manuals to crawl over things, and just day-to-day driving, it's very much improved. On the 2nd gen Tacoma V6, we can delete or cut it in half, but turn off the rev hang function on those. So basically that also helps drivability as well too. And that's a big factor. We're one of the very few people on the market that actually delete the rev hang for 2nd gen Tacomas.
The rev hang, is that where like you dump on the throttle and it just like it kills it?
It's when you shift, it'll hold a RPM before it drops.
Gotcha.
So most manuals, you shift and it'll drop the RPM right away. So basically get you into the gear at a, so that you're not basically shifting everything at like $5,000. At least it'll come down to $3,000 where it's easier to drop into gear and go again. Sometimes it'll hang out at a certain RPM and then drop. So it's basically makes you shift a little bit faster if you can get rid of that.
So what type of supporting mods would you involve in that? Like intakes, headers? It's like obviously with you said carb compliant.
Carb certified. Yeah, carb compliant stuff. We're able to do. Beyond that, the intake and exhaust thing is a slippery slope. Again, like we were referring to earlier, these products that would claim 50 horsepower, 30 horsepower, and then not provide it. We dyno tune all of our vehicles that we provide. It's a big factor to us, and so we've dyno trucks with intakes and without intakes and things like that. The gains on those are very minimal. A lot of people that are like, hey, I'm gonna wait and do my tune when I get my intake and exhaust. And in most situations, especially more in the 3rd gen crowd of Tacomas, the 2016 and up, there's not a lot to be gained by that. And it's not something, in my opinion, and this is, Cemented Tuning's opinion only, I would say, save the money on the intake. And unless you want the noise of the exhaust, you can also save some money there too. But, get the tune and start there. If you want, maybe a little bit more throttle response out of an intake, which, kind of a more snap to it. Yeah, you can go that route. But I mean, the tune is essentially in these modern vehicles, it's what unlocks the power and, the better drivability for these vehicles.
Plus, I feel like half the guys, they get a cold air intake, but then they bolt a giant snorkel to it, which I love snorkels as much as the next guy, but you just added 4.5 feet to your intake tube. Correct. I don't know that it's doing anything at that point.
Yeah. And that's where, there's a lot of other, the big thing that we've noticed as far as tuning is intake manufacturers out there have, they're different size tubes, and, big to small to, hey, this is cold air and things like that. The factory Tacoma one is cold air. It pulls directly from the fender. And a lot of these intakes use oiled filters, which can clog your mass airflow sensor and again lead to poor drivability. So without regular maintenance on your mass airflow sensor and things like that, it can change.
Okay, yeah. I bought a new one. Get off my back.
Did you clean it first? That's the problem. But yeah, no, it's the intake exhaust crowd again, unless you're trying to really drive out that extra 3-4 horsepower. A lot of times I just say keep it stock. Do something as simple as maybe a dry drop-in filter. That's what I'm running on my truck in a stock box.
Do tire size and gear ratios come into play with the tunes?
They can in certain situations. Definitely gear ratios. Some vehicles don't have that specific adjustability. Tire size isn't too much of a factor anymore. But in certain situations, we can adjust for shift points and stuff for bigger tires, and especially like re-geared vehicles, especially the third gen Tacoma, we can bring the speed governor back up to factory settings, because after re-gear, you're pretty much limited to about 84, 85 miles an hour. So we can bring that back up to normal, because if you're in a state where you are going a little bit faster, or you're trying to pass somebody, that could be not fun.
Being stuck at 84 miles per hour in Montana would be terrible.
Oh yeah. And I also see octane requirements. Is that Eric asking that question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that one next. I'm wondering if he's asking if there are octane requirements. I'm going to assume not, but can you have a tune for, like, if you wanted a 90, if you can have access to 93 octane, can you get a tune for that?
We used to offer like a kind of a premium only tune, and non-premium or octane learning. A lot of the stuff nowadays is full octane learning. So it'll adjust for whatever you want to throw at it from 87 to 91 plus. And then there's a lot of places that are in mountain states that have 85, which we tend to try and steer people away from as much as possible. Obviously, even like in Oregon and whatnot. I mean, if you're out at the Alvord, it's not like they have a wide range of octanes available out there or anything. Most cases, some small gas stations, you may be stuck with 87 only, but you try and keep people.
Couple hours before the show started, I was fueling up the FJ, and the local gas station to me, the pump I was at, has a ethanol free pump, and I was like, I saw it and I felt my hand wiggle. Like, would it make a difference? Should I run it? And I was like, that's got to be $5 a gallon. I
bought about 10 gallons of that the other day to take a generator over to my in-laws. They were having power outage issues with that lovely ice storm, and they only use a couple of gallons, so there's probably like 6 or 7 gallons they're going to end up back in the Tacoma here when I go pick up the fuel of clear gas.
Makes me wonder how much difference that stuff would make.
And following up to that octane requirement, it's not required to run premium, but generally you do see the most benefits out of the tune on premium. But if you're comfortable running 87, or that's what you want to do, the truck will still run just fine.
James is asking, what about forced induction? So if you've turboed or supercharged your rig, do you do custom tunes for stuff like that?
We do. So we do a lot of custom logs. I do a lot of custom tuning for Tundras with superchargers, Tacomas, 4Runners, things like that. We support the supercharged calibrations from multiple manufacturers, whether it be Magnuson, Whipple. I can't remember the other Tundra one there at the moment, but ProCharger. We have a bunch of ProCharge trucks as well too.
URD.
I've done a URD truck. But yeah, we've done a lot of custom tunes for those. The Tundra community is really receptive up here, and done a lot of 18 to 21 Tundras with the newer supercharger. Not the 2650, but they had a newer one for the 18 and up Tundras as well too. I've done quite a few of those as well. The Tacoma tune that I run is OTT, and it's phenomenal. It went from making 240 horsepower to the wheels stock to I think the Magnuson kit takes it up to about 308. Our tune on the base Magnuson takes it up to 361 horsepower to the wheels on a stock vehicle. Same vehicle with a slightly smaller pulley, which is also what I'm running. I'm running an 87 millimeter pulley. We've got 373 to the wheels out of a stock vehicle, which is phenomenal, and still runs and drives completely normal. I always tell people, if you didn't know that my truck was supercharged, you just think it's a well-powered mid-sized truck. And, it drives around town without effort and has a very nice power band. Very linear, very smooth.
So Eric wants to know if there's a tune that'll keep me out of the ditches.
Probably.
Well, the ditches will always get you. I've been sideways in a few ditches myself, and it's it's one
the tune would have to make it so Ben's truck didn't turn on.
Yeah,
that's the only way to keep him out of ditches if his truck isn't running.
Harrop, the other manufacturer that we also support as well too, among many others. I mean, if it's within the Toyota off-road community and it's got a supercharger on it, we can do it. So and it's within obviously emissions compliant. That's the other key factor there.
That was our next question here. Actually, is it so? It will. You live in a DEQ area. It will pass smog with the tune.
Correct. We have passed smog in California, and then, like I said earlier, we're the only naturally aspirated 3GT third gen Tacoma with calibration to be 49 state legal, and we are already in the process of that platform's CARB certification. We also have other platforms pending for certification as well too. So the Tacoma was the start. We will be rolling out CARB certification for other vehicles as well too.
I got to ask this one for my homies in the comment section that have the brand new Tacomas. Is it going to affect your vehicle's warranty? I just went wheeling with a guy, and when he left his house, he had 120 miles on his rig. So
that's a very common question. There's a lot of people that, don't want to do it right away, warranty and everything else. I will say this about, will the tune affect my warranty? A tune is no different than any other aftermarket modification. If the dealer determines it's the tune that caused the issue being examined under warranty, the dealer can deny the warranty for that specific item. So just like, if your lift kit causes a ball joint to fail, things along those lines.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, there's some instances where they would have to dig really, really deep to find it. I'm not saying it's unfindable, but I've never had anybody mention anything. There's been thousands of trucks tuned nationwide that nobody's had an issue with or that has brought forward with. And again, it's, I get it. You're trying to protect your investment, but with 120 miles, yeah, you're kind of like, oh, do I need to break it in further? I'll leave that up to each individual owner, but it's not necessary.
We broke it in.
Well, yeah, with the way the third gens shift, with the way they, hunt for gears, and it's way worse than the like what Ben and Coy are used to with the 5-speed. That double overdrive really kind of just goes all over the place, and cruise control can be very, very frustrating at times as well too. But yeah, I would say do it within your best judgment, but I tell a lot of people there's not a whole lot of reason to wait. If that's what if you're that concerned about it, then I would say wait until you're out of warranty. But we've done, like I said, trucks with 3 miles on them on leaving the lot, at Toyota. So it's, I would rather, I love the way our tune drives. I love the way it performs. I would say, get it within reason of when you want to do it. Get it as soon as possible. But,
I got to say, I wish I'd done mine way sooner. I haven't towed anything yet, but just judging by the way it shifts now, I have a small camper trailer I tow. I can tell already that it's going to be a even bigger difference towing with it now.
Correct.
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Cole. I was so skeptical of these kind of tunes. I was like worried a little bit because I thought if this doesn't drive how I want, and I got to go back to Cole and be like, hey man, can you go back to stock? It's going to be super embarrassing for me. It's so awkward. So I didn't go into this with high expectations.
Fair enough.
And you tuned me in the parking lot. Takes 20 minutes. I didn't go on a long drive. Like I knew immediately that it had more power. It shifted difference. And I was worried that it was going to be like too jumpy on the throttle. You know, that was like one of my big worries. I believe I went to the second level. I did mild. What is it?
I think you did mild or medium, one of the two. I'm sure I was trying to force you on spicy, but you won that down.
And we live close enough. I may try spicy in the future. Like I'm totally in now. So
the thing is, this is why I tell people to go out on a test drive. And a lot of it is smaller parking lots, little yellow speed bumps, schools, things like that, where you're, not used to it. It's to try and get it there. Sometimes, as much as a medium or a spicy, something that is really aggressive sounds like fun. Day to day can be kind of annoying. The great thing about all our tunes is the main thing that we're changing is the throttle sensitivity. So power wise, shifting wise, they're all going to be the same. I generally, with being that we have ice and snow, other things, I like a more lighter throttle just because it's, not so much in your face, but some people want that. Some people down the line, this is why I say later on, a year or a week, a month, a year down the road, like, hey, I'm getting kind of used to it. Like, can we jump up a little bit? And that's where, us adjusting you for free further down the road is always nice. And it only takes, a matter of minutes. Just in certain cases, if we're out of town or something like that, a couple hours away, then, we'll schedule it next time we're down there. But like this weekend, I'm going to head down to Medford, and I got a guy that's going to get re-geared, and I'll preset the tune for the gears. It may drive a little funky for the week, but once it gets the re-gears in, it's going to be flawless and perfect. So
Just JDM asks what year my FJ is. That is it. Mine's a 2010. Just JDM. Yeah. So I took it out. I mean, I basically drove around 2 blocks. There's some stoplights, and on the way back, I whip into a parking lot and I put it in 4 low, just like you were explaining, because I wanted to see how it feels in 4 low. Because my truck always in 4 low in first gear, you'd have to get way on the throttle, and then it would lurch, like because it was like a nothing. Oh, we're going, and then you would have given it too much, completely gone. It's just seamless, as if it's a cable throttle. And
I remember you came back from your test drive and there was red paint on his sidewall of his tire.
It was clearly a fire lane. I guess I was in. I put it up on the curb. And I was testing it, driving up on a curb onto a sidewalk back 3 or 4 times. And it turned my tire red. And I am so impressed with it. I love it. Like I can't believe I waited. I wish I'd done this years ago. Like I've had this FJ since 2012. I wish I'd done this in 2012. Like,
yeah,
immediately.
And a lot of the software wasn't available back then, but it's definitely come a lot further. And like I said, we keep getting more and more models. We keep getting to look at different stuff that we've never done before. And it expands. And for me, it's like I love watching people's reactions. That first 10 feet comment is, I love people just, stepping on the gas, expecting to have to push about halfway to the floor to get it to move. And all of a sudden it moves and their eyes light up and they start smiling. And for me, that's like the biggest reward out of all of this, is just watching people kind of fall in love with their vehicle all over again.
Is there anything else we need to know about cemented tunings or OTT tunes that you can think of that we haven't covered?
Cemented tuning, I'm one of the two installers up here in the Northwest. I travel all over the place. OTT, we are nationwide. We are also in Canada, Hawaii, I believe Puerto Rico. We're all over, and we keep expanding as time goes on. As the demand rises. We can also do remote tuning too, if it's something where hey, there's nobody around me. Reach out to the Overland Taylor website and send them an email and be like, hey, I want to get my truck tuned. I just don't see anybody around me. The other thing I like to encourage people to is reach out to your locust tuner, even if they're, a couple hours away. It's worth the drive. And I mean, I get it. There is a trust factor that we have to get past. And I deal with this with every customer. And, I'm sure, obviously, I dealt with you, Coy, of like, hey, is this really going to make a difference? Is this going to, change anything? Once you, kind of get past that factor, you're like, oh man, I want to tell the world. And that's, a lot of the responses that we get is, again, it's your hard-earned money. I get it. And handing it over to a stranger in a parking lot, or, and a lot of us, some people have shops and things like that as well too. But, handing over your hard-earned money of like, is this going to make a difference? Is this going to fix issues that I have with our vehicle? But once you get past that, it's you're smiling, you're having a good time, you're doing all the things.
Yeah, and I left you, and I drove home, grabbed a few things, and I drove 5 hours through a blizzard to go snow camping, wheeled all weekend, turned around and drove home. Yeah. And the only thing I noticed is like it was relearning initially, like everything, so it idled a little bit low and stuff. But literally, I think by the time I got home, it was done. Like it figured it all out. Oh, and it was as if it was as it had always been, except for with more power and shifting where it should and all the other things. Like,
and a lot of us travel to do tunes as well too. Like I said, I go to Seattle. I was in Seattle last weekend. This weekend I'll be in Medford. I kind of go all over where the demand is. Just reach out to your local tuner, whether wherever you are in the nation, and let us know. I mean, even if you have to reach out to me, I will forward you the information of where you need to be to your closest tuner and get it figured out. I don't know. Was there any other questions that you wanted to be asked? I'm trying to look here.
I think we covered everything.
Okay.
Raggle Fraggle says, just hear me out. Our Toyota forklift could use a tune. That would be awesome.
Nothing for the diesel crowd, sorry, or the propane crowd, I guess. Cost. That's a good one. Thank you, Facebook user. We didn't cover the cost ranges generally from about $400 to $550, maybe upwards to about usually in that range. It depends on your local tuner and everything else. So the prices usually range from about $400 to $550, and then up for supercharged applications. Supercharged applications generally can be $600 to $800. Some people I think are up to around $1,000. Just kind of depends on your setup. Those generally take a little bit more time. With like the Tundra superchargers, a lot of times we'll flash a tune, go out, log it, and then flash an adjusted tune. So those, sometimes they can take 2-3 cycles. I remember when we were doing our first 2021 Tundra with the Magnuson on it, I probably spent a good 4 or 5 hours at the guy's house. He just kind of gave me the keys and been like, all right, go do it. And, that was a, building up process to, get everything dialed in for the entire calibration. But that guy was mind blown when he actually drove it. And same thing with, they generally take some time. They're getting, as we have more files built, we, have a better understanding of what's going on. The 4-liter stuff is phenomenal. I see Ben's got what year is your 4Runner back there?
06.
06. We can do an 06 4Runner. The 4th gen crowd. I've done a handful lately, trying to break into that market. Again, it's kind of the Coy mentality of, will it change anything? And there's a bunch of local people that I've done around here in the Portland, Vancouver area, and they love it. And we need to get together. You're up north a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just outside of Tacoma.
Oh, perfect. Well, we can. That's easy. We can get together. We'll get your vehicles tuned as well, Aaron. Man, there's 3 other people in this group. You're kind of severely outnumbered tonight.
Yeah, that's all right. My Nissan already has a custom tune. The F-150 has a tune, so all that really leaves is the Avalon or the John Deere. So,
yeah. Where am I out of? I'm based out of Portland. I'm in Southeast Portland. majority of the time. But again, I do get out and travel. I'll travel pretty much. I've gone up as far as, I mean, I've been up to Anacortes, I've been up to Bellingham, and just kind of sometimes I'll meet people at Mount Vernon. I've also gone out to Whidbey Island. I go out to along the Sound sometimes. It's just the coast. I mean, if you're at somewhere and you're like, hey, can you come out here? Sure. Or we can figure out a way to meet in the middle. I met a lot of people from the southern coast along I-5 when I'm heading down to Medford. I've also traveled to Hawaii to do stuff as well when I go out to visit family. Again, if you're concerned, please reach out to me, send me an email. And if you won't, like I said, have any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, I have no problem answering questions for people. And that's, some people are like, oh, I don't want to bother you. I'm like, bother me, like, let's figure this out. Let's get past, get past your fears, get past, your concerns and things like that. And we'll work from there.
We got one more question in the comments from James. Who has the longest beard? Cole, I think you.
It might be Ben.
It's between Cole and Ben.
It's rare on the show when one of us doesn't have the longest beard, but you're in competition with Ben for sure.
After watching, Ben's pretty long there.
I think Ben's is a little longer.
Mine curls up a lot more, but his does as well too.
I'm
glad that I fit the profile for being on the podcast here.
Well, we had someone ask how there was two Bens on the show. I mean, honestly, you could be a long lost relative.
Who knows?
It's future Ben because he's got a little bit of gray in his beard. It's Ben from the future.
Correct.
Oh well, Ben, it looks like you do well for yourself. Surprisingly,
finally,
things finally start turning up your way.
Well, and where can everybody find you at, Cole?
Cementedtuning.com. I'm also on Instagram at cemented.racks. And then there's a bunch of us on the Toyota Tuning Network. You can also check out overlandtailor.com. That has, and it's TAILOR. Obviously, it's over my shoulder here. But yeah, check out overlandtailor.com. There's a bunch of dyno results up on Overland Tailor. Another good article, if you got a few minutes, is the Truth Be Told Dyno series that's on there. A lot of good comparisons and a lot of good information on there. A lot of good reviews, things like that. Definitely check us out. There's a map on there as well on Overland Tailor to find your local closest tuner.
All right, guys. Next week, be sure to tune in. We're doing the search for the next disposable hero. It's not a lot of those XJs left, so we got to figure out what is the next vehicle that we're gonna just wheel and trash.
Wheel and trash. That is so true. Oh my goodness, that's so true. Yep. And we want to thank everybody who listens to us every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We love it when you guys tune in live. We love the comments. They really do help out. They keep things rolling sometimes. And you guys think of questions that we didn't think to ask, like, what does it cost? I don't know how we left that one out.
No, that should have been a big one on there.
Yeah. We really do appreciate you guys. If you want to join in on this, it's on all our socials live, although most of the chatting happens on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Colby Valve and 4 Patriots to see all of their great products. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or comment? Send it to us through our Linktree account or by searching for Offroad Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, and be safe and courteous. Thanks for listening.
Hello, we've been trying to reach you concerning your vehicle's extended warranty. You should have received a notice in the mail about your car's extended warranty eligibility. Since we've not gotten a response, we're giving you a final courtesy call before we close out your file. Press 2 to be removed and placed on the do not call list. To speak to someone about possibly extending your or reinstating your Vehicle's warranty, press 1 to speak with a warranty specialist. Hello,
Nailed it.
He did. It was a good job.
I do like the beginning where he's like, "Oh wait, let me try again."
I got
he
called
didn't
back.
even.
I got to call back.
Crap. Yeah, that was good.